Today is April 18th, 2015, and we're going to do a little work on, we're going to revisit the Yelm Earthmaster. I haven't started or run this tractor in, I think, a year now, or more, since I bought it as a parts tractor. And I've actually got some folks that are working on Earthmaster tractors of their own, and they need some parts off of this machine. And before I start pulling all these parts off of it, in particular the starter bracket, which I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. I want to actually get this motor running. Hopefully I can get it running again pretty easily, so I can demonstrate that it's a running motor, so I can offer the motor for sale complete. Because the motor is not original to the tractor. This is a, I think it's a JXB series Hercules motor, which I guess are getting a little harder to come by. And I just assume try and sell it as a complete running motor to somebody. And we'll try that. If we get it running, we'll try selling it that way. If that doesn't work, then maybe I'll part it out. It's got a rare Zenith carburetor on it that's hard to come by. That's the style of the Zenith on this that's used on the Earth. It's the same as what's used on the Earthmaster, so I don't know if I'll keep that as a spare or not. It's got a magneto on it, a Fairbanks Morse magneto, that last time I checked was working fine. Here's the, I guess I could talk about this now. Here's the starter. Hold on, let me get an assistant. Mark, would you hold this door open for Daddy?
Sure.
All right, thank you. All right, so this is the starter for the Earthmaster tractor. This is the original starter and starter bracket. And what somebody did is, it looks like they Mickey Mouse this to get this starter to actually work to turn the ring gear on this Hercules motor. When I got it, I found that it was slipping. The gears would slip. So I just kind of wedged this old ballast in here because it's just something I had handy from the scrap pile. Wedged the back of this up and found out that by doing that I can make it work. Now, these are known to crack on the Earthmasters, I guess, and it's a very hard part to find. So I've got somebody who's interested in this one. Unfortunately, I now see what looks to be maybe JB Weld on this. So it looks like this might be a cracked one after all. So I think this might have all been futile and pointless. But, you know what we'll do is, we get the motor running and I get some video of the motor running, then I'll pull the starter and the bracket off and I'll take a better look at that bracket and see how badly it's damaged. Alright, so to make life easier, we aired up the tires and we're going to use the Grizzly four-wheeler, and we're going to pull it up to the house where the tools and everything else are. My son, my 9-year-old son's going to be the cameraman on this, so you see how it says REC? That means it's recording. Go ahead and press the button.
This?
Yeah. Turning too fast. Wait. Cut.
Why would turn it off?
Alright, Mark, shut it off. The steering's really sloppy on this thing, and in an attempt for him to avoid hitting the motorcycle, he clipped that big rock over there by the stone wall with the bottom of the blade here, Actually took a chunk right out. Right there, that discolored area right there, that's where he took a chunk off. There's a big chunk right there. Well, now that I get the tractor up close to the house, next thing I'm going to do to make my life easier is take the hood off. Keeping this can on here to keep the rain from getting down the exhaust pipe. Periodically when I would go over to that area of the field, the can was on the ground though, so there may have been sporadic moisture egressing into the system. Alright, so I guess I could just, I'll just throw a battery on here and crank it, see what it sounds like. Alright, now the battery on this tractor is only used for running the starter, turning it over. The ignition is completely self-contained. The magneto actually develops the electricity to create the spark. So, unlike a regular battery ignition, once this motor is running, you can completely disconnect the battery, and you don't even need to have a generator or an alternator on this thing, and it'll continue to have ignition. The good old days. Anyways, let's give it a spin. I was afraid of that. I got a bad connection on the battery. Gotta tighten it up. Alright, let's try that again. Alright, it does sound like there's some compression there. So now we'll pull one of the spark plugs and see if there's any spark. Now if I'm lucky, I'll have spark and then I won't have to deal with that magneto. Hey, I do. Good. It's been so long since I ran this, I had forgotten, but apparently I was running it off of this tank. So I must have at some point taken the time to clean the tank a little bit, or at least the sediment bowl. But what I'm looking at right now is the sediment bowl has about this much of something in it, which I suspect is water and not gas. And if it is gas, by some miracle, it's probably very stale. Well, that sediment bowl was really filthy. Didn't seem to have much water in it. It was just stale gas, but then there was some rusty sediment in the bottom. The inside of that tank's going to need to be treated. I should probably run this off an auxiliary fuel tank, but because I've already got the metal line on here, I'm thinking I'll try and put a little fuel in here and see how much rust, see how many rust flakes come out into the sediment pool. If I get too much garbage coming out, then I'll have to go with plan B and fish out my auxiliary plastic tank. Alright, when I first put things back together and turned the fuel on, nothing was coming out. But then I took the bowl back off and I worked the pipe cleaner up into the little orifice there that has to do with and actually that's still blocked because it's just dripping, it's not flowing. So I'm going to have to find something better to clean that with. That's also contaminated gas that must have been just sitting in the top of that stem. Alrighty. That was easy. Oh, you know what? It might not have been flowing because it might not have any place to go, so to speak. If there's a blockage on if there's a blockage in this line, then what happens is when you open this up, pressure builds up. Now it's flowing. I didn't put much gas in there, just in case. I expect that to start leaking out of the carburetor. I have no reason to believe the float's not going to leak on this thing. So I'm going to shut it off temporarily while I respond to this text message I just received. Well, keeping a positive attitude in preparation for starting this thing, I've got to figure out this choke because I can never remember which way is open and which way is closed. Well, actually, as I recall, pulling this cable is shot, it's seized up. On the dash, when you would pull out, that would put the choke on. So that should mean choke on is right there. Yep, alright, that's choke on, that's choke off. So we're going to put the choke on. Let's see, I guess I'll leave this line off just for long enough to see how much fuel comes out of there. I'm going to get a container. Kosciuszko's mustard. Good stuff. Wish the shut-off valve was on the other side. Well, luckily I got long arms and I get the hood off. I can reach right around. Oh yeah, plenty of flow. Now, I've got spark and I've got fuel up to the carburetor. The carburetor is not completely blocked. I should be able to actually. Oh, and if the valves aren't stuck open, causing there to be very low or zero compression, I should be able to get this thing to pop off. Choke's on. Let's get the camera angle better. On. Alright, got gas dripping out of the carburetor. Got at least one cylinder that has compression, I can hear it. Alright, I'm going to cheat a little bit and dump just a little bit of fuel directly down the spark plug hole. Skip it. Guess I should see if that cylinder has compression. This is the one I keep messing with. Yep. I just cleaned that spark plug. Give it a little bit of a healthier spark. Hey, you know what? Just occurred to me, I didn't even bother seeing what was in the bowl of that carburetor. Could be stale gas sitting in that thing. Yummy! This could also tell me whether or not the float is working at all. That ought to do it. Sometimes you can tap on the side of the bowl lightly, and if the float is sticking closed, it'll pop open. Yeah, the float must be stuck. Yeah, definitely got a blockage here. I took this gas line off. I've got the bowl drain out still, and I tried pumping air into here just with this little pump can, and I could hear it pressurizing that area and nothing coming out. So now I'm gonna pump Marvel Mystery Oil into there. So that's a nice little solvent, and there we go. Opened right up. Chances are any fluid would have worked. Now that I know the float is open, float dropped down, the needle came unseated. Should be able to turn the fuel back on, get some fuel flow. It's funny, I just said usually right around this time is when the battery on the camera dies. I don't know how much of that you saw, but yeah, battery's dying.